Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today we're going to be talking about E3 and why I think E3 as a show is kind of important to gaming. Now, I will say this, look, E3 being run by the ESA, it sucks. They've done some dumb stuff in the past, they've done some dodgy stuff in the past. You know, they really messed up a lot of the media side of things when they doxed everyone. Like, honestly, this is a show that should be handled by an independent company that isn't the ESA, right? It's kind of shady, it kind of sucks. But I'm not here to talk about that. What I wanted to talk about is E3 as a time of year for people that are really into gaming. It is a good thing, right? Now, you know, the way the gaming industry works is you get announcements throughout the year anyway, but I think it's kind of like what they consider like the gamers' Christmas, if you want to call it that. And last year we didn't have it, we had the summer of gaming where a lot of announcements were spread out over a long time, but honestly, the nice thing about E3 is having 3 to 4 days, or basically essentially most part of a week, where you just get a load of information that sets up the rest of the year and sets up the start of next year. And I think the gaming industry is better off with E3 and having things like E3 and Gamescom and these other places, you know, where they have either a weekend or in this case most of a week to show off trailers and gameplay. And I think that the reason why I think that benefits is because it gives people something to look forward to. Yeah, you've got your Nintendo Directs and your PlayStation, whatever they're called, with the Xbox ones as well, like those little digital events that can happen outside of the bigger things like Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, E3, all of that. But E3 is kind of seen as like where the big announcements are, and I actually think as a trade show or whatever you want to call it, exhibition show, it's actually we are better for it. Now, you know, being a bit cynical, you could say, well, it's just their way of selling their products to you, which, yeah, it is. But, you know, there's been a lot of, for me personally, like, as someone who enjoys a lot of Nintendo content and a lot of PC content, I usually come away with 1 or 2 things that I'm really excited about. I'm not expecting every announcement to be for me, but, like, I can watch the Nintendo stuff. I usually get Smash-related content, which, you know, I'm a huge fan of Smash. Or I might watch the PC gaming show and I come away being like, awesome, there's some cool indie games coming out or stuff that I'm interested in, I can take notes in and decide whether I want to buy them and cover them and things like that when they come out. And I like the fact that this is a time where I can sit down for a few days, absorb a bunch of information, trailers, you know, hopefully gameplay, and, you know, sort of plan my year out a little bit almost and be like, okay, we've got stuff coming out in September and August and October and things like that. And I'm like, alright, you know, this is great. You know, having some kind of idea as to hopefully having things I'm interested in. You know, being surprised. I mean, that's the thing as well. It's like, I like watching these things because I get surprised. You know, whether it's an indie game, whether it's a AAA game, it doesn't really care. Like, you know, I want to be surprised. But, you know, it's just, there's a lot of what I like about E3. Now, like I said, I mostly watch it for the Nintendo stuff because I like what they do with the Treehouse, what they started doing when you'd have the Direct, and then for 3 days you'd have the Treehouse, and it was like, hey, all these games we've announced, we're gonna show off a bit of gameplay each day, and then they would announce stuff as well during that time. And that's what I kind of hope for this year. I kind of hope that we see that, but you know, I would watch Ubisoft's one, and I'd watch EA's one, and I'll probably watch Microsoft's one, and whatever's being shown off, because I don't know whether they're all gonna, you know, if they're gonna have digital events and then streams and stuff afterwards. But we do know that we're gonna have Nintendo there, so obviously for me that's massive. There's probably gonna be a Smash reveal for a character there, so that already alone is the one thing that gets me excited about it. Xbox are there, and I think they've got to bring their big guns. You know, I think that's going to be really interesting to see what they're bringing. And then we've got your usuals. We've got Capcom. They usually bring something good. Konami just pulled out recently, so they're not going to be there now. We've got Ubisoft, no surprise there. Take-Two Interactive, so that's like the big company that owns Rockstar and other gaming companies, basically. So we'll probably see something from them. We've got Warner Brothers Games, so that could be something from NetherRealm Studio, but they also own like the like Lord of the Rings licenses and stuff. I think that's them. We've got Koch Media, who've got a ton of games under them, game studios and things. And that's just some. And then they announced, I think they announced, like, we've got Square Enix that are going to be there. We've got Sega are going to be there. Bandai Namco are going to be there. Gearbox going to be there. Verizon, Exceed Games. A ton of new, just a ton of more companies are going to be showing up. And I'm assuming they're going to keep announcing more companies as it goes along. But this is cool because it means that, like, if there are game series that are in development that by these companies, there's a good chance they're going to show up here. But yeah, I do generally think the gaming community enjoys having E3. Yes, it is there just to sell you on products, that's the point. Potentially sell you on some false products like we've seen in the past. But having all the news in one place and having all the news in 1 week is kind of nice rather than having it spread out over like 4 to 5 months. And I think it lets people have these big discussions around things. Usually you'll see like some big news come out of here. Like, you'll probably see Nintendo come punching with, let's say, Breath of the Wild 2. They hit a brand new trailer of Breath of the Wild 2 coming out like 2022 March 2022 or something, and it shows off some gameplay, or they actually do show off some gameplay and stuff like that. That's huge. If Microsoft show up and they've got like gameplay for, I think it's probably too soon, but they've got gameplay for like Fable or one of these big franchises, like showing off more Halo and stuff. That's big news. And all these companies can do that. Like, and as a consumer, as somebody who wants to watch this and see this stuff, if I come away and I'm like, oh, that looks really good, and that looked really good, I'm like, cool, that was worth it. That was a week's worth of content where I got a lot of cool, smaller announcements probably, and then some big ones. And that can vary on what you're after and what you're looking for. But I think it's good for everyone, no matter what like a fan of, whether you're a fan of Nintendo, Xbox. Obviously Sony will probably do something around there. You're a fan of like Ubisoft games, EA games, all that sort of stuff. Oh, sorry, yeah, EA's not there, are they? I don't think. But the fact of the matter is, like, if you know that there's games coming out by these companies, there's a good chance you're going to get to see that stuff. And yeah, for me personally, I think it's really like, after not having E3 last year because of Corona, and like now having a digital format, which we'll see how well that goes. Just knowing that there's going to be a bunch of announcements all in the space of like a week is exciting. I think it's exciting. I know I am. I mean, look, Nintendo's showing up, and they're going to probably show off. Hopefully, No More Heroes 3. I would love to hear something on Metroid. That would be great. Probably Zelda. I'll get into predictions in another time closer to it, but we're about a month away now, and so I'm starting to think about E3, and I have the time booked off. I plan on covering content, watching the streams, watching whatever comes out of this, giving my thoughts and opinions on what gets announced. For me, it's like, if I get surprised and you get one big announcement, that's good enough. If you go in here with expectation of being like, I just want one thing, right? You're not going to be disappointed, because there's so much stuff that's going to be shown off. Like, let's say Koch Media, I don't know if it's them or if it's THQ Nordic. If say THQ Nordic turned up and they're like, here's Time Splitters 2 or Time Splitters Future Perfect, like HD or something, coming to all the platforms. Like, to me, that's huge. I love that series, right? We've heard rumors about it, but like, that's, for me, like, going in and getting one thing out of it is worth it at that point. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of stuff I don't care about, but then that's just because they're not designed for me. On the flip side of that, Nintendo's there, so there's tons of stuff. They might announce something crazy like Mario Kart 9. It could be, who knows? Like, it could be a really bad E3 because it's digital. There might not be anything, but my expectations are in check. But I'm at least excited for the fact that all the news, all the trailers is going to be in one place. It's going to be easy to watch, hopefully. And I think E3 is a big part of the gaming culture, the gaming industry, and I think it is better off with E3, and I think that's because it's information all in 1 week. It's a time when everyone can get together and just come and enjoy and see what all these studios are working on, and just generally be like, wow, look, this is a good time. Yeah, you're gonna get your naysayers, you're gonna get people that are cynical about it, and I don't blame them, honestly. Like, a lot of people probably don't think we need it, but a lot of that comes down to the ESA, basically, rather than the actual E3 itself. because I think having a big show like this, it just brings people together. Like, I get to chat to my friends about stuff that comes out, you know, and it's like, you know, all this information and all these cool games coming out, and it just creates a nice buzz around things. So for me, it's like, this is the time of year that I always get excited for. I always really enjoy what comes out of it. And yeah, I've been a little bit let down in the past, but now that I've started watching more of it and I've gotten older, I can enjoy a lot more of it. My expectations aren't wild like they used to be. Now it's a lot more just, hey, this is what's been announced, this is some stuff to look forward to. You know, I plan out my year sometimes based around this, where I'm like, okay, so I know this is coming out here, and I know this is coming out here. And, you know, when you get into the end of the year, September, October time, you're like, oh my god, it's like Broketober. It gets expensive, but, you know, I'd rather have too much choice than no choice at all. So, for me, this is the time when I get to see, hopefully, some just really cool trailers and gameplay. Obviously, you know, keep your expectations in check. Make sure you wait for games to get reviewed and stuff when they eventually come out. But, you know, it is one massive hype show. You know, that's what it's designed to be. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. E3 is meant to be like, hey, we're going to hype you up to ridiculous levels, and it's just, you got to be responsible for that. But I still think we're better off with it than without it. Having, especially the way the world is at the moment, having something that people can hopefully, this community of people can hopefully be positive around and be like, hey, you know, we get to see new gameplay of Breath of the Wild 2, or, you know, Fable from Xbox, or like Halo's probably a better thing for that. Like, you know, we get to see these games we've been patiently waiting on suddenly, boom, you know, blow the doors off. You know, I really hope, on a slight side tangent, I really hope Xbox or Microsoft show up with a really nice looking version of Halo. I feel bad for people that really want to play that game. It got delayed probably by about a year, you know, which is good. Like, it's good that they delayed it, right? Because it means that the game will hopefully be in a better state when it comes out. But, like, for those people, I really hope they get to see something that they get excited for. While Halo isn't necessarily, like, massive for me, I do hope that, like, that's there for people. I hope Microsoft show up in force. You know, I think it's really, like, it's really important as well, like, to have this competition between these different companies. Like, say what you want about Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, the fact that there are options on the market for different people, you know, is never a bad thing. I don't want any of these companies to suddenly disappear. I just want them to keep competing and keep doing better and better and trying to bring their best. And Microsoft, while Game Pass is fantastic, they need that new content coming between the end of this year and going forward. And I have a feeling they're going to show up in force. So that's why, even that, like, I don't even own a new Xbox, but that alone is awesome. Like, you know, being excited for something like that. And that's why I like E3. Like, I get to see what these companies are going to bring. And like I said, if they bring up surprise announcements and stuff that's never been shown off before, awesome. So, yeah. So there you go. Like, this is why all of this, hopefully you can tell, like, you know, I'm genuinely excited about it. And all of this is just to say, look, we need E3 in some format. Yes, I wish it was held, like, you know, it was part of a company that wasn't related to some dodgy things. Like, I wish the ESA wasn't, like, hosting this. But it is what it is. This is what we've got. You know, I go in trying to be as responsible as possible with my own hype, but I enjoy the fact that we have this show over so many days with a ton of information, and we've got we've got the big companies showing up. So, you know, all in all, I'm excited for it. When we get closer to the time, I might do some prediction videos on, like, Nintendo and Microsoft, because those are probably the ones I'm most interested in. But we'll see. You know, obviously the PC gaming show is something else I really enjoy, so yeah, you know, and I'll probably, like, that's the cool thing as well, like, I'll probably either stream or co-watch the PC gaming show with Don Hayes, because we're both interested in that stuff, and that's always fun. That might be a fun thing to do. Like, I might stream the Nintendo stuff, or I probably will stream the Nintendo stuff. I won't be doing all of it because I don't know what things are going to be like, but, you know, at the end of the day, I'm excited for it, and I hope other people are, and it's going to be good to have it back, you know, whatever this format is like. I just hope it's good. That's all I can ask for. So yeah, that's my thoughts on E3. That's my thoughts on why I think we need it. Thank you very much for watching today. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, then hit subscribe. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below if you want to get involved over there. And until next video, I will see you then.